Yeah, I try to, I prefer not to shoot on a stage too much. I prefer real locations or exteriors, and but sometimes, for especially for cinematographers and for Roberto sometimes, because of the shifts of light when you're shooting exterior, there was a time in cinema, you just could wait. I remember a story like for when Sergio Leone made Once Upon a Time in America. He was just, they were waiting for the right amount of clouds or the right amount of sun. And sometimes we don't have this luxury today anymore because there's less and less money, more and more pressure. So unfortunately, to wait for the exact light, sometimes you don't have the time and you can't do it, which is very unfortunate. My nature is to be very calm. So I really prepare my film in pre-production, and most of my entire visualization and how I see the film all happens before I start shooting. Once I start shooting, I'm on the set. I try to create an environment for the actors that they're very safe and sort of and that they feel comfortable and natural. But at the same time, you want to be very precise and want to sort of create your vision, make sure that vision, gets sort of manifested while you're working. But at the same time, you want to leave room that magic can happen, because ultimately, what the most beautiful part is about storytelling and making movies is these moments that happen magically, and those moments can't be forced or created; they just happen. And to create an environment that magic can happen is I think very important to me. I think as a filmmaker, film director, you have to be patient. If you're not patient, you will be in a constant state of insanity, and because ultimately you're dealing with that. You have to every day you have to compromise. I think being patient, if it's not something, for a lot of people. For me, it's something I had to train myself to be, because ultimately there's nothing you can do. You only can do your best. So all you can do is breathe in, breathe out, and ultimately, it's important that I get what I want at the end, and you have to fight for that, and you have to make sure that you get it there. And sometimes you can't, because maybe the weather, the sun, the elements, you're not in control, and it's something very humbling, because sometimes you realize you're not in control over everything, but at the same time, I'm trying always to get it as perfect as I can. It's a tremendous shift, everything put together at the time. We shot with this, it was a Canon small digital camera, and then I kept on shooting on film from Monsters Ball until Machine Gun Preacher, and then World War Z I shot on the Alexa again. So the Alexa I thought it was an incredible camera versus what existed at that time, but it's always depends what kind of feeling you want to create and what you want the audience to feel and what kind of story you want to tell. And obviously, the image and the grain structure always have a different emotional sort of projection on you. And it's interesting, if you project a film digitally versus on film, because I believe when you project something on film, you still have it's 24 frames a second, and you have this sort of the black sort of slither in between, and it's like one frame after the next. And I think it affects you psychologically different than projecting something digital, which doesn't have that. I met Roberto when I was very young. I just came out of film school. I was like maybe 24, 23, something like that. And he at the time just came back from Italy, and we just immediately connected. And I thought he's just a very interesting man, and I thought we connected in regard of art and philosophy and filmmaking, and then we made obviously several movies together. And with every movie, we discussed a lot of it in pre-production, how the feel should be, how it should look, what other movies as reference we should watch. We looked at photography and overall feelings, and it was just a lot of talking and discussing, and then we always had little floor plans where we decided how to, I figured out how I want the scene to move, and the staging of the actors, and we discussed camera angles, and obviously looked at the locations. And because I love real locations, and sometimes I like spaces they're very small, and he always said, "Oh my God, this space is way too small. I can't. Where can't we choose another location because of the light?" I said, "Oh, just keep it dark. It's keep the light from outside. You don't need a light in here." So, and sometimes I'm sure that that these kind of challenges for a cinematographer can be frustrating, but at the same time we had always a really great collaboration, and we grew with one another, and it's a beautiful thing when you can work with other artists, especially in film. I worked with the same editor and the same DP for many years, that you grow together. It's when you work with people, you want to give them a certain amount of freedom, but at the same time, ultimately it's your movie, and you always have to make the final decision. And sometimes if your close collaborators like the cinematographer or the editor have ideas, then you want to listen to the ideas, but at the same time, if you don't like something, you have to speak out. I love editing. That's in film school. When I shot my films, I always edited myself, so I'm very precise, of timing, and for me, ultimately, editing is so much about rhythm, and the rhythm is like writing music or creating a song, and if the rhythm isn't right, you need to change it. And it's also, structurally the film can change, and obviously choosing the right performances, all of these things have an incredible effect on the film, because if editing can make a film really great, or it can destroy a film as well.